A city of thought-provoking creativity, welcoming, vibrant atmosphere, and an amalgamation of cultures. A city that could be inspiration on its own. Let's dive into the colourful streets of Bristol. Hello lovely people, and welcome or welcome back to the channel. I'm Radost, and today my art journey led me to the lovely city of Bristol. Come with me to get some inspiration for your next art project or enjoy the beautiful scenery and street art. Creators can't constantly create. Every now and then they need a different perspective, a time away from everyday problems. We need a space and time to lit a creative sparkle. A space where art is something alive and breathing, and we don't need excuses to enjoy it. A space to be oneself. Roaming the streets of Bristol, it's almost impossible to miss the vibrant graffiti art. On streets, walls and bridges, you can find captivating images, staying later in your thoughts, making you wonder what's behind, and forming the city's amazing facade. And right there, from these streets hails none other but Banksy himself. Being an artist visiting city of Bristol, you can't just skip the art shops, so I decided to step by Casa Art and see what I can get. And in places like these, it always turns out I need more stuff than I've imagined. Our next stop is going to be the Bristol Museum and Art Gallery. The building itself is a treasure on its own. I love museums, and it's fascinating how under one roof is collected art, nature wonders and history. Every piece telling a story on its own, and all are connected in the complexity we call life. And tell me what can be more inspiring than that? Surrounded by all these artifacts, I was driven to draw. My mind had its rest from mundane troubles and anxieties and traveled in time with these creatures. With so many collected memories, inspirations and photos, let's start our sketch. First, I decided to do everything with pencil, to be able to position them on the page without skipping some of the main characters I wanted to paint, to arrange a beautiful sketchbook spread and not to worry too much about the blank space later on. And it's best to take your time with your pencil sketch, studying the objects. That can help with easing off the stress from the painting part, which is the most enjoyable. It's funny how sketching these long-gone creatures makes me feel like a fossil enthusiast from the 19th century. I knew I wanted to include an example of the extinct marine life, the famous Bristol dinosaur, and some birds, as dinosaurs and birds are connected in the evolution of life. And the little space that I have left, I used for a dinosaur claw that I thought it would be interesting to recreate. When we think of unknown, most of the time in our brains pops up the space, right? Or the brain itself. But think about how less we know about the underwater world. Not only back then, but even now. Only looking at these discoveries feels like traveling not only through time, but into a different realm. And for a dreamer like me, it's like heaven. But that made me thinking, where the science would be if not for these fossil enthusiasts like Mary Anning. Without her work, we wouldn't be admiring these remains today. This skull model took me into a time machine, imagining what was lurking into the waters millions of years ago, and what might be hiding there today. This guy here likely had very strong vision and used it while hunting. With his sharp teeth and brilliant sight, his prey didn't stand a chance. This guy here we'll call Teco, as that's how he is famous in the museum. This is obviously a model how he looked like, but the remains of the real Teco were found just up the road from Bristol Museum and Art Gallery. It's fascinating what might be hiding just under the road we are walking on our way to work or school. Really important for the scientists were the jaw of our friend here, as his teeth were not situated like in the lizards. Unfortunately for Teco, his skeleton was partly destroyed during the World War II, with other remains, but the most bones were saved. And now we are able to see some beautiful reconstructions of Teco and other dinosaurs that can haunt our thoughts, as it's really important to be able to imagine how life looked like back then, how Earth looked like millions of years ago. That's how the so-called paleo art had been invented. Many artists painted the dinosaurs in complex compositions, and that fueled public interest and helped raising money for even more excavations and discoveries. Crowds were formed in the museums just to see the latest found fossil and to observe the art piece showing how that dinosaur possibly looked like. And that type of art, although modernized, is pretty alive today. You can find it in movies, TV shows, books, or in my wardrobe where the dinosaur t-shirt has a special place. I really wanted to draw some detail of a dinosaur to feel this page more completed. You may wonder what that is. This is a claw of carnivorous dinosaur who was walking on his back legs, or so-called theropod. Maybe the most famous dinosaur from his family is the T-Rex. It's interesting that dinosaurs we imagined like giant lizards had hollow bones and back legs like these on the birds. And with this evolutionary connection in mind, I decided to pick birds to accompany the dinosaurs on the page, and I chose the gyrfalcons. They really captured my attention in the museum with their beautiful feathers and proud posture. Gyrfalcons are world's largest falcons, and they are birds of prey, also called raptors. From the moment I saw the reconstruction of Teco, I knew I wanted to create a detailed study of his head, and to be honest, it looked pretty cute to me with these big eyes. You might think, not so cute if he eats you for breakfast, but his diet was actually plant-based. Also, Teco was pretty small for a dinosaur, only 2 meters long, but he was a really fast runner. That definitely would help outrun the bigger predators. My allure of these creatures and the passion to draw them started from a very young age, when I used to lose myself between the pages of the old encyclopedias, learning names and copying some of the paleo art. To see that the world was very different before, to see drawings of creatures that looked like they got out of a fairy tale but actually existed, was amazing. I even secretly dreamed of being a paleontologist one day. some version of Dr. Grant from the Jurassic Park. But enough about me, and let's go back to Teco and his amazing story. This high-speed sprinter survived millions of years underground, survived the bombings during the World War II. For you and me now to have the opportunity to see what he looked like and, of course, to paint him. At the beginning he wasn't even considered a dinosaur, but after more research and science development, the experts classified him as one. And today his kind is considered one of the oldest that existed. And I have to admit, he just won my heart. He's definitely among the stars in the Bristol Museum. Let's finish this page with the magnificent gear falcon. I'm quite a fan of falcons and even had the opportunity this year to see some of the baby peregrine falcons that chose to live in the city's cathedral. It made me smile and filled me with hope. But this one here lives in much colder places and prefers cliff faces for nesting sites. But during the winter they can be seen also in the UK. He really looks like an ancestor of a dinosaur. For me, this speaks of the evolution as non-stopping process. We may not fully understand it, but we kind of feel it. We may not know what expects us tomorrow, but learning about Earth and animals, past and present, will teach us to be more conscious in preserving the life today, keeping our environment and not destroying our home. Thank you so much for being with me today, and I really hope I inspired you even a little for your next art project. Stay creative. Till next time. Bye.